I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning. I'm going to ask Representative Wiedauer, he will open in prayer for us this morning.
Good morning. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve Georgia, and hopefully we'll do it in a way that honors you every day. Just be with us as we look over this legislation this morning, and be mindful that it's good for all Georgians, and in your name, amen.
Well, thank you again. At this time, we've got several bills on the agenda this morning. We're going to add one more, House Bill 246, which is Sam Watson's department bill. And then number 3, House Bill 202, we're going to hold. We're not going to hear that bill this morning. So we still have 5 bills, but we're going to start with Chairman Alan Powell's House Bill 200. You can present it from right there if you want to. What number are you? 11. All right.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. You know, this looks like this is getting to be an annual bill. This is what we call the Acromoto bill. This is a company that has started manufacturing 3-wheel vehicles. They're not a motorcycle. And the language that we have done in past years was we described them if they had safety equipment and handlebars. But what we've done is we've changed this now to say seat belts and a frame to a partially or fully enclosed operator. These aren't the 3-wheel motorcycles, but they're actually the little 3-wheel cars. And to make these exempt from the helmet issues, and this is the new definition for that.
Could you tell us the LC number we're working off of?
LC 39292785.
Okay, everybody have that in their packet? All right, now this is this identical bill that we passed out of this committee last year.
Exactly.
Isn't that correct? All right, I would just, do we have any questions? Number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and well, thank you, Chairman Powell, for bringing this. I guess the reason that you bring this is because those people in those little 3-wheels, they want people to see their faces, or I'm just trying to, because I know a lot of the folks in my community, what they're trying to do is make sure that people see who they are because they've got one of those little 3-wheelers. I mean, I don't know if that's a question or a statement.
Well, I don't know if it's so much people want to see who they are, but if you've got a 3-wheel vehicle and it's partially enclosed, they're putting seat belts on them. They have a full frame, and these are basically like a 3-wheel car. And for that to have the seat belts and such, you really don't need to be pushing them to have to put a helmet on because they're not a motorcycle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Number 7, Representative Prince. This time we have a motion, Representative Ridley, and a second from Representative Barton. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, you have your bill. All right, at this time, we're going to skip down to House Bill 246. Representative Watson, will you come to the podium? Tell us your bill number and the LC number we're working off of.
LC number 392760. This is HB 246. This is a department bill that was brought to me. And basically what we're doing in this bill is we're increasing the cost of a replacement license, lost license, and the limited driving permit. Currently, as you can see, if you lose your license, to get it replaced is $5. And so we're raising that to $10. The cost for the state to make that license, if you do it online, is $9.61. If you go in person and replace your lost license, the cost is $20.21 to the state. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's on the other part. So, so that's why they're wanting to raise it, is it's costing the state money to replace a lost license. So on the limited driving permits, if you get a DUI, you lose your license, you're a habitual violator, and you need to get a limited driving permit, the current cost is $25. And so we're raising that to $32, which is the current cost of a new license. When you turn 16, you pay $32 to get a new license. So we're just trying to bring it up to the same cost as someone who has no criminal charges, who's not a habitual violator, so that they're paying the same thing that everyone else pays when they get a new license. And of course, the cost of that license when somebody turns 16 is $20.21 is the actual cost to the state. The $25 has not been increased since 1992 was the last time that cost was raised. So that's the bill, Mr. Chairman, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Sam. Number 7, Representative Prince.
Thank you, Chairman Watson, for this bill. But did I not hear you say that the cost of replacing that the original license is about $9?
If you lose your license and you get it replaced online, it costs the state $9.61.
Gotcha. Okay.
But currently you're only paying
$5.
$5.
Right. Now, and just knowing a little about the Department of Driver Service, this is probably one of the ways that they can gain revenue for these licenses coming in. Is that correct?
We would hope so. You know, all of these, the revenue from these licenses all goes to the general fund. So we have to appropriate that money back to the agency in the appropriations process.
Okay. And the last thing, again, I'm just thinking here that $10 is probably not, again, for this department to continue to run efficiently. And I know the way they pay state workers now, I would like to just maybe look at amending that instead of 10, maybe to $12. But I think that'd come at another time. But just some thought on that.
All right, I think we have another question from Chairman Powell. Is that correct?
Thank you. I only got a question, and I remember when during the Miller administration, when came in, they raised all of these fees. Yeah, I've got a question. I'm not in opposition to the bill, but on this raising it from 5 to 10, you said that they have a DDS has told you. You got any idea of the criteria that they used about what it takes to replace this when they put that figure out there? I don't think it's costing any more to actually print a secondary license. If it is, somebody needs to be checking where they're getting their material from. But any idea how they figured the criteria of what it cost?
Mr. Chairman, I know they're online, but the cost, card production and technology cost that they provided to me was $937. And then they've just got some, I guess, back audit, double checking, making sure everything's correct, that they calculate that to be 24 cents, which gets us to the $961. But now the department, I think, is online.
I was going to say, let me interrupt. Well, Ms. Leslie with Department of DDS is online. If she wants to comment on this, can you bring Ms. Leslie up?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what we provided to you guys are conservative numbers, and it's a breakdown of what our third-party vendor charges us, including also staffing. Of course, we don't have additional items such as our lights and what it costs to run the facility. But so we provided conservative numbers is how we calculated that, which is the staffing, the card production and technology, operating costs, and the back audit, just to auditing, just to make sure that the card is printed the way it's supposed to be and the information on there that is correct. And then you have to remember that we went to a new card last year or the year before last, and we have additional security features. So of course, it costs us the agency a little bit more to produce that card.
Okay, we have another question from number 10. Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that was my question regarding line 27 through 28 regarding the 25 from 25 to 32. The increments of 7 instead of 5. Where did we arrive at that 32? And why 32?
So that number is 32 is what we charge currently for you and I to get a regular driver's license. And that has not increased since 1992, as he stated. So that number has been there since the days of DMVS. What we are trying to do is increase the limited driving permit to $25, which would bring parity. As Chairman Watson stated, your limited driving permit people are people that have been stopped and charged with DUI, maybe habitual violators. And so we are charging those customers $25 to get a limited driving permit, which allows them to go back and forth to work. However, someone off the street that has not committed those same offense are paying $25 for a driver's license.
At 32.
32.
I'm sorry, $32.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any number 8?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I
Fine.
guess the only question I have, and I'm glad we have Ms. Leslie on the phone, is, I mean, approximately how many renewals do we have yearly? I'm just, for us to bring this up, it's got to be quite a few.
As far as, so when you say renewals, as far as the limited driving permits,
No, I guess I'll.
a lost license.
Yes, I mean, how many, you have to have a number in mind that every year that, the reason you want to increase this is because we're getting 200,000, 300,000 or.
Right. So on average is about 500,000. And so that breaks down to your non-CDL license is roughly anywhere between 300,000 to 350,000. Your CDL license is anywhere from 11 to 13,000. And then you have our IDs, which is is approximately 60,000. And then your learner permits is non-CDLs is approximately about 16, 17,000, which IDs and your non-commercial driver's license are the ones that we deal with a lot. So you're talking about almost 500,000 that we're doing every year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's quite a good number.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, number 7.
And just a comment, Ms. Leslie, and for those who are on election committees, this license that we're talking about here, replacement or the replacement is your replacement license, limited license. That's also used as an ID when you go to vote. Is that correct?
It can be one of many
Indeed.
forms.
One of the things. Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of people are.
All right, seeing no further questions, we have a motion from Representative Ridley, a second from Representative Wiedauer. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Chairman
members of
Watson.
the committee. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let me go to the podium. At this time, I'm going to ask Representative Barton if he'll come conduct the meeting. I've got 3 bills I'll be presenting.
bring a pen or anything. That's great. Okay. I got one in my pocket. All right, Chairman, you want to present your first bill?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll start with House Bill 169. And this again is a department bill. Ms. Leslie, she'll just hang tight, but it's pretty simple. The first part of the bill, I guess lines 10 through 27, deal with commercial driver's license requirements, sort of like Joshua's Law, where anybody applying for a commercial license has to take a course, a set number of hours before they can receive their CDL driver's license. And what's driving this is to get us in compliance with a federal law, I think, that takes place in 2022, about mid-year. Is that correct, Ms. Leslie?
Yes.
So anyway, this is, if we don't do this, the federal government, they will not recognize Georgia CDL drivers. So it's basically to get us in compliance with a law that's passed on a federal level. And then the second part of the bill, 28 through 38, basically right now you can get it's basically a learner's permit, but a instructions permit for a CDL for 180 days. And then you can renew it one time for 180 days. What we're doing here is just changing it. Instead of doing that, you can get it for 365 days. But in that time, you can go and take your test and get your CDLs and not have to wait the full 365. But it's just more efficient government where you just do it one time. It's good for 365 instead of renewing it at 180. And that's basically all this bill does. And I will try to answer any questions if there are any, Mr. Chairman.
We got one. Representative Ridley.
Thank you. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the new law that's going into place, that's only on new CDL drivers after whenever the law goes into effect.
That is my understanding. Isn't that right, Ms. Leslie? It's everybody else that already has CDLs does not have to go back and take this class. It's
Yes,
just
that is
new
correct.
drivers only.
That is correct.
That's my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Are there any more questions from the panel here? Motion to pass by Wiedeyer. Second by Monahan. All those in favor? Those against?
And that was it. I'm sorry, I didn't say the LC number. That was 392759.
Yeah. I was
So
gonna get that.
make
We'll
sure
get you on the next one.
we're correct. I apologize for that. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next bill I'd like to go to is 210, House Bill 210, LC 392844S. Everybody have that? And if we can pull the DOR, Mr. up, if they're ready to need to have any questions. And this again is a Department of Revenue bill, and it's basically getting us in compliance with some federal law on certain vehicles being exempt from having to put the odometer reading when you sell a car or truck. There's a place on the title where you put the mileage down. This exempts anything over 16,000 pounds. And then if it was manufactured before 2010, you don't have to, it's exempt. And after 2011, it has to, keep it for 20 years to do that. But after 20 years, you no longer have to put the mileage down. But I think this, again, gets us in compliance with what the federal law is doing. And I guess, Stephen, if you would like to comment on that.
No, that's exactly right. The federal regulations on odometer disclosures were updated, and our statute had already mirrored theirs in the past. So when we saw their regulations had changed, we didn't want to be out of compliance with the federal regs. So that's what this bill would do. I would point out, Mr. Chairman, we had noticed a little tweak to the bill that we had sent over to your legislative council. I don't know that it's been updated yet in the version that you just presented, but I just wanted to put that on your radar. I can reach back out to legislative council if need be.
What is the change, Steve? What are we?
Hang on, let me pull this back up again. So it was the way she had written it. This would only change the odometer disclosure for vehicles over 16,000 pounds. The federal regulation applies to all vehicles. So this is going to be vehicles that are, on every car dealer's lot is going to be under the new federal regulation. And the way that this is currently drafted is it looks like it would only apply to vehicles having a gross vehicle weight of more than 16,000 pounds would be exempt from the odometer disclosure.
I think you might be looking at the old one. Jenna, correct me here.
I may have, actually, you know what? You're right. I think I may have pulled up the old one. Well, no, I clicked on current version on the website. So I just may not have the current version.
Yeah, I don't think you have the current version. This has the 1, 2, and 3. The one,
Okay.
any vehicle manual before 2010 and then after 2011. So this has the 1, 2, and 3. So
Okay.
this is the latest version. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. That's my mistake. But yes, the way you described it is right then.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, you got a question? Representative Monahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a quick question. I know that, Mr. Chairman, you have stated that we're coming into compliance with the federal side of things. But when we talked about the CDL issue, the bill we just passed out, we had said that if we're not in compliance with the federal government's not going to recognize our CDL drivers. What are they doing here? If we don't come into compliance with this and we're not tracking, I guess I don't see the reason why we don't track the odometer.
Well, I mean, I think after 10 years, we didn't track odometer under the old system. Is that right, Stephen?
That's right. I think the whole reasoning behind odometer disclosures is that there was maybe a sense that after a period of time in the vehicles, odometer just becomes less reliable anyway, so there's no point in tracking it. So as vehicles have become more advanced and technology's improved, the quality of the odometers has improved as well. Also, the idea is that for newer model vehicles, we'll just track the odometer and we'll keep that data in our system, but we'll track it for a longer period of time.
It actually does track anything after 2011 for 20 years, where the old way was 10.
That's right. So if you have an older
We're
model
actually keeping
vehicle,
up with it longer than we were before.
Okay. But further question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I'm trying to follow the logic here of the bill. If I were to buy a 2017, F-750 International 9700, right? It's got a GVRW, 26,000 pounds, 28,000 pounds. Okay. Would I be required to put that on the title? I think that's what I'm saying here. Is that right? We're not having to, I would not have to track that.
If it's over 16,000 pounds, you would not have to track it. It's the way this is written.
I think what I'm thinking, if I follow that logic and that's correct, there's a lot of junkyards in the state of Georgia, and a lot of those junkyards have these big old dashes that you can go over there and swap out. And so I'm just a little afraid we pass this and all of a sudden it's not tracked and we've got no way of ever following whether or not these trucks had the original mileage or not.
Would you like to comment on that, Steve?
The only thing I could really say on that is that that's been the case with our statute. So that piece is not changing. The 1,600 pound exemption has always been, as far as I know, at least since I've been with the department, it's been in the statute. So I'm saying we're not changing that here. I don't have a lot to say otherwise on that. If the committee would like to explore that as a policy change, we can do some research on our end and I'd be happy to advise on it. I'm just afraid today I'm not really going to be able to speak too much more on that issue because we hadn't really considered it.
That's not my question. I just wanted
Yes.
that.
Representative Ridley, you got a question?
I guess my question was the 16,000 pounds, is that GVW or is that?
Yes.
All right. So would that not fall what Representative Monahan is talking about? Would that not fall under commercial driver's license, anything bigger than that, like a tractor trailer, like you're talking about? Would that fall under a different law as far as the odometer, or would this cover all that? That's what I was. So I guess my question is, so commercial vehicles are going to fall under this also? Or is commercial vehicles in a separate law, how they're done?
I would have to defer to Stephen to
I
answer
can
that.
touch a little bit on that. So some commercial vehicles could possibly fall under this. If they're under that 16,000 pound limit, there's not really a distinction between the type of vehicle that I see. So as long as it's under that weight rating, it's whether it's commercial or personal, it would be under the odometer disclosure rule if it's below 16,000 pounds. I think some of the stuff you're talking about with commercial driver's licenses, that's going to be in a separate chapter. So I can't really comment on that. But as far as just the question on whether a commercial vehicle might fall under this, it's possible, yes, if it's under 16,000 pounds.
Senator. Y'all good? Tim Barr. What number you got, Tim? Representative Barr.
Apologize, committee. I'm actually having a hard time following this. We are saying passenger vehicles, but the language actually says 32 more than 16,000
16,000.
pounds. And then we go into the second line, and we talk about the manufacturer dates, but our conversation has been around passenger vehicles, and I don't see the change. Perhaps legal counsel can help me understand what exactly we're talking about, words on paper. Am I confused somewhere as far as what I'm reading? Is it's only vehicles over 16,000 pounds on this page? I'm on LC 39, 28, 24S.
The vehicles would be exempt from the odometer report. So if it's less than 16, and then there's zero distinction. You would not have to, when you transfer a certificate of title, you would not need to report the odometer reading. So 17,000 pounds, you're good. You don't have to put that on there. Whether it's commercial or not. So we're not distinguishing between how it's used, who's driving it. It's just really the pound and the year.
And what, the only thing would fall in that would be a motorhome other than a commercial vehicle, I guess, or a bus.
Number 15. Who's 15? Wait, hour.
Since there seems to be a little confusion, let me just offer this up. I mean, currently, if it's older than 10 years and more than 16, they're exempt. All this is changing is giving dates to that because of the technology of vehicles. 16,000 pounds stays as the way it is now. We go from 2010 earlier, or 20 years for anything 2011 and newer. So really all we're doing here is accommodating for technology of newer vehicles being more accurate for a longer period of time. So everything else stays the same. And I will make a motion when the time is right to do pass.
Any other questions at this time? We have a motion.
I got a second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Stop.
All those against? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last bill is House Bill 207, and this basically all we're doing here is going to a more efficient government way of the first part, manufacturers, distributors, dealers that engage in manufacture or sell or leasing vehicles. They submit that. They got to submit the registration to the DOR once a year. We're saying that shall be done electronically. If you go on down to the second section 2, gets into scrap metal dealers that either dispose of a vehicle or trailer or whatever, where they have to submit to the department that it's a certificate of title within 72 hours that they have demolished that trailer or vehicle, whatever. They have to do that in 72 hours. That will be done electronically. Then it gets on into later in the bill to insurance companies where they, a car is totaled, and anyway, they pay off the vehicle. Now they in possession of that. They have to submit that to the DOR as well. That's to be done electronically. And then finally in the last part of the well, not the last section, but next to the last section, it gets talking about lien holders, how they will be notified and sent to DOR as well electronically. And then if you have a junkyard, a tow truck lot or whatever that has a abandoned vehicle or trailer, whatever on their yard, it is the court orders that is sold, they have to submit a bill of sale to the DOR within, I think, 48 hours as well in the very last part. But it's just basically about more efficient government, submitting the way business is done now, doing everything electronically instead of having to do either fax or mailing it in the old fashioned way. So that's basically what they're doing here, just making where everybody does this electronically. Auto dealers, I haven't had anybody come back and oppose this. The people that represent the scrap metal dealers, they have got women. They just only question they have is what to do with where they have a physical title, what to do with that, and that's handled under the old way. They still you have to maintain records for 2 years, but anyway, they in a secure way to dispose of those.
Mr. Chairman, can you give us the LC number that you're reading off of?
I'm sorry, 392861S.
It's House Bill 207.
That's basically what we're doing. We're just going to electronic filing on all these reports to the DOR, from dealers for their registration every year to scrap metal dealers to insurance companies, lien holders. And then if a abandoned vehicle is sold, they have to have a bill of sale to the DOR, and then they can apply for a certificate of title or scrap title from the DOR. But that's all this bill is doing. And
Dewey, we've got a question from,
Sir.
we've got a question from Dewey.
all right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you too. I guess the only reason I'm bringing my question up is electronically. Is this has anything to do with the federal government, or this is just something that we're getting away from mailing and faxing and?
I think it's just a matter of just being more efficient with the taxpayers' money. It's what we're doing here. It's cheaper for the auto dealer or scrap dealer to file something electronically and have to go out and you weigh it and put $10 worth of stamps on something to mail it in. So it's just being more efficient government and better use of taxpayers' money and the business owner as well.
Any other members of the committee have a question? Chairman Powell, what number?
11.
There you go, Mr. Chairman.
Can you hear me? So isn't this just really a good bill from the Department of Revenue that's finally bringing us up to 2021 standards that the whole world operates with electronic transfers, and given the volume of their mailroom disposition over at Revenue, this can get to the proper hands quickly without all that cumbersome work of sorting through the mail and such like that. And it's just good for the consumer, and it's good for the department also.
That would be correct.
And if there's something that's good for both the department and for the consumer, it's got to be a good bill. And I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any more discussion? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those against? Motion passes. Got another bill passed, Mr. Chairman.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that's all the bills. If you want to dismiss the meeting, we'll.
Okay, that's fine.
There's a subcommittee meeting this afternoon, Representative Montahan at 2:00 and 1 o'clock in what room?
At 415 CLOB.
415 CLOB, the Driver Safety Subcommittee.
We got you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Thank y'all, everyone, for coming. Y'all have a great day. Thank you very much.